Shubor nakaslem jong udongsan Hima.
Ka Sorkar Jylla menta kasi ka khandriotrik unai wieng arhajar Pule kalapnong ya ka Jylla ki kunhun menteri ha ka bakala shim ya ki rai ban Pynbha ya ka Pule Puthi po ka Jylla ka jing pendrung kam ha ka tanat Pule Puthi ban pentrei kam ya ka an ka ban tekla kam ya ka jing pulut pisapat ba ban penhe ya ka tanat labor ka Jylla ki kunhun menteri kala shim ya ka rai ban Jied ki kot Ncert na ka benta class 1 hadu class 10 hapo ka Meghalaya Board of School Education. Ya kani la yatho do menteri rangba ukonat ke sangma hagbaw laban yang jingdon kam man pen scam mi ki lennong ki ban kedaw ki riti dostor bar ka history jong ki traish nong ki bahapo ka Jylla ru komjuo banwan ra ka Pule Puthi ka ban yaring kan bat ki wei pat ki Jylla khnang ba ki Khynnah ki na ban yakun.
We had a cabinet meeting today, and there were 4 important decisions that were taken by the cabinet. The first decision was to amend the Meghalaya Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2006. As you are aware that even last year this particular act was amended, and this is done because obviously Government of India has allowed different state governments to increase the budget borrowing based on reforms that are taken by specific states on an annual basis. Even last year, the reforms that were taken place by the state government in different departments allowed us to increase our budget borrowing limits up to 4%. And this year again, based on the power reforms that we are taking, there will be 0.5% increase in the budget borrowing that is allowed, and that annually it has to be amended. So the particular act in ordinance is being amended today. Second is the proposal for adaptation of Ncert textbooks based on certain modifications in certain subjects will be done by MBOS from now on, and this decision has been taken, and by that I mean in the coming academic year the process is going to start, and we will see this adaptation taking place as we move forward. But immediately the cabinet decision that has been taken today is to allow the adaptation of the Ncert textbooks with necessary modifications from class 1 to class 10. And there are certain schools that are in local language, in vernacular language, the classes are taught. For them, from class 1 to 5, the adaptation or the necessary changes in the language will be done. And once the translation and language is done, then the adaptation will take place. Let me just go into the background of why this is important. This is important because we have a concern in the overall education system, and after doing thorough research and consultation with different stakeholders at different levels in the education system, we have come to the conclusion that most of the textbooks that are being used in MBOS, especially when it comes to these 3 standardized subjects, which is science, English and mathematics, the books are not at the standards of the national level, and hence to improve the overall quality of the textbooks, we are adopting this. That's number 1. Also, number 2, that in terms of the learning outcomes at the elementary stage, the textbooks that we are using currently are not in conformity with that particular aspect, and hence to bring us in line with the learning outcomes at the national level, we are changing this textbooks. And this changing of the textbooks will also lead to a reduction in the number of textbooks being used at the different class levels. Just to give an example to you, that under the MBOS right now for class 1, 2 and 3, there are 11 textbooks that are recommended, but under Ncert there are only 4 textbooks. So hence the number of textbooks will go down drastically. In fact, for class if I recall from the presentation, there were 17 textbooks under MBOS, whereas for under NCERT, it is below 10. It is about 8, 9 something. So therefore, there will be a large reduction in the number of textbooks that will be used. There will be increase and improvement in the quality of the content that will be imparted to the students. It will be in conformity to a large number of requirements at the national level, including the learning outcomes. And this also is being done in a larger scale, keeping in mind the state curriculum, SGF they call it. So that particular SGF, state curriculum also, the amendments to those, or rather the drafting of those aspects will also be taken up. And we will ensure that the curriculum also is adapted to the national curriculum, and with, of course, necessary adaptation to local contents, because we are very, very clear as a cabinet that the subjects in which we require local knowledge, local content based on our culture, based on our history, and based on our uniqueness, all these aspects should not be diluted, and hence the subjects where these matters, the subjects are there, we will take necessary steps to adapt the NCERT content and come out with our own textbooks, but the content will be based on the NCERT norms and standards. So it's a long exercise. We expect that in the first phase we should be able to implement things by the next academic year, and in the next to next academic year we will see almost most of the reforms being implemented, and hence this is a massive exercise and a very big decision, and hence all the stakeholders, including the DERT and the MBOS and the teachers and different schools, have all been taken on board, and we are going ahead with this particular decision. Number 3, we also have decided today that we will be constituting a permanent Meghalaya Education Recruitment Board. As you are aware that we had come out with a health recruitment board, and the main reason for this was that there were a large number of vacancies and NPSC was not able to conduct the examinations on time. And if you recall, we had a gap of about 5 years for the teachers, for the doctors to be appointed. But as soon as we came out with the health recruitment board, we were able to recruit 500 doctors in a matter of 3 months' time. Similarly, there are close to about 187 vacancies as we speak in the education, especially in the higher and technical education, even secondary and high secondary and other levels. And hence, we strongly feel, and in some cases, the vacancies have been there for almost 3 to 4 years also. And hence, we strongly feel this board should be there. And this recruitment board should complete the recruitment process within the next 3 months to maximum 6 months time for these vacancies. And another decision which we took was that this recruitment board will also be the overall arching board that is going to take care of the recruitments of all education related matters. And hence, school teachers education also, once we complete this current phase of recruitment of teachers which is going on, then this also will be brought in within this recruitment board for education, so that there is one education recruitment board. But the procedures and processes that are being followed for the respective recruitments will continue as they are right now, because school teachers are done at the division level, and therefore those processes will not change, but the entire the management of the recruitment will come under this particular education board. So that was also another major decision, and we are hopeful that with this decision, all the vacancies that are there pending in the education department will be filled up very, very soon. As I said, within 3 to 6 months, we expect to complete it. So the social science subject, as I said, we are going to start adopting. I don't have details of every subject, what books will be there or not, but you're absolutely right. The reason why we're doing this is because we want to go into details of many subjects that are not being taught, which are necessary in today's world. And as we start this process of adapting to NCERT content and adapting our contents to the NCERT and coming out with our own kind of textbooks based on the NCERT things. Other subjects which are important for us as a cultural aspect, historical aspect, will also be looked into, and other aspects of things like moral science or environmental issues, those also will be looked into. But it'll all depend. I'm not saying it'll be done, but we're definitely going to examine it. We have not gone through the entire process of the financial implications, but looking at the aspect that even today we are having more textbooks, in fact double or triple the textbooks that are being put in by NCERT. And the content also being something that we keep working on, and it keeps changing. The cost may be the same or even lesser than what we are spending right now. So therefore, that is what the Education Department has given us. But having said that, a decision like this for us, we strongly feel that is a thing we need to do. And hence it is a question of the future of our children. And hence we will not compromise on it. But we will ensure that we are able to minimize the financial impact. And as I said, the initial assessment that has been given by the Education Department is that the cost will be same or if most likely lesser than what we're spending as of now. No, MBO's role is, you have to remember that the overall curriculum and the overall system is set by the DERT. And then MBOS then focuses on the textbooks that have been brought in. And that is just one of the roles that MBOS had, apart from the more important aspects of conducting exams and other aspects. And we've realized that, as I said, that while the overall flexibility was there before, it was not giving a proper structure. And more importantly, it was not leading to the outcomes that we would want for our students. And hence, this decision has been taken, and this will ensure that the main stakeholder in this entire process, which is our students, for which whether government or DERT or MBOS is working, they should benefit at the end of the day, and they should come out more successful and more competent and better prepared for the competitive world. And so, keeping their interest in mind, we have taken this decision. The contents are such that in English and mathematics and science, we don't see much of modification, and even if it is, they will be making mild modifications. I mean, simple things like rather than saying NCERT, we may say MBOS. So that's all. So it's not going to be a major, maybe just nomenclature or just basically just the just basic aspects and things. But the content doesn't look like it'll require too much of the changes. Calculus is calculus, whether you do it in CRT or whether you do it in MBOS. It's the same process. So therefore, we don't see much of changes in that.
So is this decision based on the recommendation of the State Education Commission?
No, State Education Commission, we have just informally mentioned. We means the department has mentioned to them. But this particular decision has been based more on consultation with schools and different at different district levels, town areas, rural areas, and mainly the stakeholders. So this exercise started a long time back, in fact, before the commission came into being, and hence keeping in mind that that major steps have to be taken, and this being a step which, as a cabinet, we feel is inevitable, and whether we wait for the state curriculum framework to be adopted, or whether we consult with anybody, the picture is quite clear that this decision is something that has to be taken, and especially, as I said, when it comes to these three particular subjects, and hence we have gone ahead with this. But as I said, consultation and discussions have been made, but no formal agenda has been sent to the commission, but discussions have been made, but at the same time details and discussion with stakeholders has been done at an exhaustive. been taken up today. That is, in fact, as I said, today we are going in a phase-wise manner. We will examine all these aspects in the days to come. As I said, today was simply to say that in these subjects, the content now will be based on the NCERT textbook. So as I mentioned to you, the first phase from class 1 to class 10, subjects of English, mathematics and science, these three subjects will be based on the NCERT textbooks, and the contents wherever required, minimum will be localized contents wherever it's required, because as I said, these three subjects don't require so much of localized contents. At the same, so that will be in the first phase. And as we move along, we also know that in class 1 to 5, there are schools that are teaching in local language. And hence, we need to translate those books, which may take time. So, wherever possible in the first phase, and if not, then the second phase, those schools which are teaching in local language, science, mathematics and English will be then translated and it will come into effect. At the same time, there are subjects like social science which also we felt required us to adopt the NCERT textbook norms and contents, because there are a lot of information that is, examinations are held at the national level, competitive exams where the contents of the NCERT are very, very relevant. But at the same time, we also feel that there are a lot of local contents that need to be put in the right place. So we will adapt those, we will discuss those matters, include them, and then as and when we are ready, we will introduce that also. So that's what I mean. When I say phase, means which class or which subject. It will all depend, as I said, on how fast we can move ahead with the translations, how fast we can move ahead with the local content that we wish to put in. No, there's no committee as such. As I said, the education department has already consulted different stakeholders at different levels. And in fact, this particular decision is a decision that the cabinet today, after reviewing it, felt that it should have been taken a long time back. This is a long pending decision. As I said, there are the certain subjects like English, mathematics and science, which are very standard in nature throughout the world. And hence the contents do not have much of local contents in them. And hence, and the examinations take place at that standard and at that level. And hence adopting the NCERT content and the textbook, and on the basis of that content, adapting it to our contents, which will be minimum when it comes to, as I said, English and maths and science. This should have been done long time back. And as I said, just to give you an example of what it is, that in certain cases we have found that the content that is being used in class 10, books of emboss, those same contents are there in NCERT in class 6 itself, or in class 7 itself. So the standards of the education quality needs to be brought up, because our students need to compete at the national level, and hence, keeping all of these factors in mind, we are doing this. We also understand that it is not simple, it will be challenging, and we all have to work together, but we need to start somewhere. If we keep waiting and holding on to a decision like this, then we will never see the changes and the reforms that we wish to take and we wish to see. And hence, apart from many other decisions and reforms that we are going to take, this is one of the first major steps. We have taken many other steps, including infrastructure developments and all. But in terms of our content, the quality, and the different aspects of education, the soft aspects, we are making sure that we take this important step forward. And yes, curriculum and content and syllabus and textbooks do play a very important role in this. Now, for example, a large number of our textbooks. Now, there is something called, the learning outcomes at elementary stages. Now, this learning outcomes basically are a guideline given by, Central, on the basis of which these learning outcomes, the rankings of the states in terms of the education is decided. Now, a large number of our textbooks which were prescribed earlier by MBOS did not, were not in conformity 100% with the learning outcomes. Whereas NCERT textbooks are more or less 100% in conformity with the learning outcomes, which are factor for the overall education quality index that is being prescribed. And hence, this decision is also being taken in order to ensure that entire content, not even 1%, should not be outside this learning outcome criteria. And hence, this will now allow us to improve our overall learning outcomes index, and we do expect that it will lead to improvement. But obviously, just the syllabus being there and the curriculum being there is not going to solve the problem for us. We need to ensure that the children learn it, and hence, how do we ensure that the teachers will ultimately work and in a productive manner, and will ensure that the students ultimately learn. So it's a complete process.
We can say that this is new system. So
it's not a new system. It's the same system, but we're improving it. Our education system is already there. Our textbooks, as I said, were there, but there were 11, 12 textbooks for class 1, whereas now there'll be 4 textbooks, and they'll be very concise. There were, as I said, 17 textbooks for class 5, but now there'll be 7, 8. So it's just streamlining and making the system more efficient.
So do we need to train our teachers for this?
So the teachers are expected to be trained already. So we have almost all the government schools, LP school teachers already are trained. And by trained, we mean that they have to be qualified at a certain level. So they are qualified at a certain level. And there are certain, and especially in the higher secondary and secondary levels, most of the schools, whether government or non-government, or private schools who are on ad hoc or deficit, even they are, most of them are following the norms, and as per government norms, each one has to be qualified. But at certain levels, in certain government, in non-government, ad hoc and other schools, SSS schools, there is a challenge where the qualification or the training level is not at the level that has been prescribed, but that process of making sure that that is done at 100% is also on.